Okay, we're back. So we've turned our classes on and off. Now we're going to start drawing. So here is sort of the first example of the book kind of introducing us to a new technique, a new concept of laying things out. We're going to use the rectangle tool, and we're going to use it in, I think, 3 different ways, just so you get a good sense of how that tool can be used. We're going to essentially draw, sort of a series of rectangles to create things like a planter, a pool, and some other portion of the patio. The first rectangle is going to be kind of in this area, and the starting point is going to be 5 foot off of this corner. So in the past, what we've done would, there's a couple options, but one thing we could do is maybe draw sort of a temporary construction line from this corner horizontally to the right for 5 feet. And that would give the starting point for that rectangle. What I'm about to step through from the book is a way of essentially floating over this point and then defining it as a temporary datum point for our drawing, which essentially is just saying that, okay, I'm going to put in a component, or I'm going to put in a distance from this point that I want to start my drawing from. And Vectorworks will just kind of push you over there, and then you can make your first click and start drawing your object. So just watch as I step through this to get a sense of how that works. So first things first, I'm going to go into the rectangle tool over in the basic tool palette. And just like other tools, if you look up at the toolbar up at the top, there are 4 different options for ways of drawing a rectangle. We're going to stick with the first one, which is essentially defining the 2 corners, the adjacent corners. So I want to say, like I said before, I want to start this rectangle about 5 foot off of corner B on the drawing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to that corner. Let me make sure I'm stepping through this correctly. And I'm going to hit the G key on my keyboard. Did anybody see how the graphic changed at my mouse? So again, I'm hovering over that corner. When I hit G, I get kind of a little bullseye that pops up. And that's Vectorworks telling me, okay, where do you want me to set your temporary datum point? So I have the X and the Y coordinates to work with. Again, the X refers to the horizontal coordinate. The Y is the vertical coordinate. If I wanted to start 5 feet to the right of that corner, which is essentially what I want to do, I could simply type in 5 feet in the X coordinate, and it would shift the datum point to here. If the way that XY works is if I wanted to go to the left, I would have to type in a negative 5 feet. Does everyone kind of understand that? So positive means to the right, negative means to the left. For the Y coordinate, just for your reference, if I type in a positive number, it will go up per screen, and if I did a negative number, it would go down. Okay? So I've got the datum. It's showing me the little bullseye saying it wants a distance from me. So I'm going to hit the tab key, and it plops me into the X coordinate, and I'm going to type in 5 feet. I'm going to hit return. So Vectorworks automatically kind of just shifts you over 5 feet from that corner. It shows that it's locked on a coordinate. At this point, I'm still in the rectangle tool, so this is all happening while the rectangle tool is still active. I can come over and I can, just kind of click as far as I'm over and snapping to that horizontally. I'll make my first click, and now that's where I've started, 5 feet from the corner.
Life is easy.
And in this case, I'll just complete this rectangle, and then we'll step through it together. This particular rectangle is going to be 16 feet long, so I'm going to type in 16 feet, 0.4 inches, and then I'm going to type in the Y, which is a negative 5. Oops, I did not get that distance
That's going to be
correct.
a lot less.
So I need 16.4 feet. 16.4 feet for the X.
Yeah. Well, not really.
And negative 5 feet for the Y. And I'll just hit return twice, and it gives me my rectangle. So if I were to come in and confirm all of this, I would see that I do, in fact, have a distance of 5 feet between the corner of the house and where I started, that the x coordinate is 16.4 feet, and that we went -5 feet because we wanted to go down from this plane.
Whipped cream.
Does that make sense? Let's step through it together. So again, you want to start by clicking on the rectangle tool over in the basic tool palette. And once that tool is active, you can simply hover on corner B on the drawing. And once you feel your mouse kind of snap to that corner, you hit the G key. All you have to do is tap it. You don't have to hold it down or anything. And then it should show you that bullseye, probably says datum, right there. And the coordinates pop up. For our purposes, we simply want to hit the tab key to get to the X coordinate and type in 5 feet.
No.
16.4, right?
Nope, we're not drawing the rectangle right now. We're simply setting the temporary
The
data.
outside, right. Gotcha.
So first things
Okay.
first.
5 feet.
Gotcha. Okay.
So we're simply setting the starting point over here. So 5 feet for the X. You can hit the tab key and it should highlight that X number.
And, oh, I have to put the 0?
And then you can tab one more time and it'll take you to the Y coordinate. And 0 is correct for us, so you can just hit return twice at that point. And you'll see that it locks us based on this origin point, 5 feet to the X, and then 0 for the Y, so you are locked into that one coordinate. Does anyone kind of have that on their screen?
Yeah, but it still has the box with the X and Y on there.
That's okay.
Okay, that's good.
So, just as a reminder, we're still active in the rectangle
Right.
tool, so we can draw now. I can close my eyes and I don't even have to worry about where I click, because Vectorworks is going to start the rectangle at that point. So I'm just going to click once, and you should see, if you move your mouse around,
When did it start?
a preview of the rectangle you're going to get.
So just move my mouse around?
How do I?
Do I click?
Have you clicked at this point yet?
No, should I?
Yes.
Wow.
Okay, so you get a preview of the rectangle you're going to get. At this point, we want to type in the coordinates from the book. So you can just start typing at this point. 16.4
Changing this.
feet is the first coordinate. So that should fill in the delta X. And then to get to the Y coordinate, you just hit tab once. And you can type in a -5 feet. And then hit return, return. And you have your rectangle. Okay? And again, since we started at this point, our X is a positive number because we want to go to the right. And again, it's a negative number for the Y because we wanted to go down on the screen. Okay? Cool. So that datum tool can be pretty effective if you, again, have an area that you know dimensions to, but you want to, instead of just drawing temporary construction lines, you can actually use that datum tool for a number of purposes.
Does that work with most of the drawing tools?
Yeah.
Or?
That's more of a universal tool.
Cool.
Oh.
Okay?
No, you didn't get your 5 feet away from them. Did you
Well,
put
I
a G
did-
spot there?
No,
So, everyone have that rectangle? Okay, we'll draw the next one here in just a second.
I missed.
It's okay. You were just paying.
I was gone.
Yes,
But when I
fine.
went in after the G, it was starting the rectangle too low.
So if you do the G, you're
Yeah.
just putting coordinates in at this point.
Yeah.
So it's a 5 foot,
Right.
and then nothing.
Right.
So at this point, you're locked into that starting point.
Right.
So now you can just click,
Okay.
and then we're going to put your 16.4 feet, and then tab for 5 or negative 5 feet. And there you go. Cool. All right.
Cool.
So that's probably the most complicated one of the bunch we're going to do.
Well, it's just.
Let me catch up to the book here real quick. Okay.
See the world.
So the next rectangle we'll draw is just to the right of this guy. And we're essentially blocking out where we're going to eventually put a set of stairs. and this is going to be a square that is 5 foot by 5 foot. And now we're going to go through another way of using the rectangle tool, just so you have this under your belt. So if you go again, make sure you're in the rectangle tool. And this time, instead of clicking it once, double-click the tool. So you're double-clicking on rectangle.
Do you want us to do this while you're talking?
Yeah, this time we can just
Thank
follow
you.
along. Thank
Are we
you.
clicking twice?
Right on the rectangle tool in the basic tool palette.
Got it.
So not all the time, but very often if you double-click a tool, there'll sometimes be, like the preferences windows will pop up, or in this case we get our create object window.
Wow.
So here, what we want to do is type in the dimensions of the rectangle that we want to create. So in this case, it's a 5 by 5 square. So I'm going to type in 5 foot for the width and 5 foot for the height. At this point, I could set like the yeah, hold on. I could set a new rotation for this if I wanted it to be rotated 45 degrees or 30 or whatever it is. But I'm not going to monkey with that.
Does it matter what class you're in?
So-
when we do this?
We're still in the draft shape, so we're not switching classes.
Okay, 5 now.
Okay? You're okay. You don't have to change
Which
anything.
well, I'm
You're in a different one because your book's different.
No, it's not that. It says existing tree retained is my class.
Oh, in this
I need to
window?
change that. I'm trying to remember what it was.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
It says
space.
notes report.
Okay. Okay. Next thing we want to do is we're going to tell Vectorworks how we want to insert this rectangle after it creates this rectangle for us. So that we have these little buttons here. We could say I want to insert it using the bottom left corner of the rectangle or the top right corner of the rectangle. We can even select the center point of the rectangle if we wish. In this case, let's pick the bottom left. So you do that by simply clicking on the little radial at the bottom left of that graphic, and it should turn black. And then make sure that position at next click is selected. So what we're saying is that I'm going to click OK. Vectorworks is going to create that box for me, and all I have to do is now make my next click, and it will insert it where I want it to go. So go ahead and click OK. You should get a little bullseye for your mouse.
Yeah, and
And then all you have to do is click, in our case, at the bottom right corner of the rectangle we just drew. And it will create the box for you.
Oh,
so my diving.
Cool.
So,
Yeah.
now for the real question. It keeps wanting to, every time I try to put 5 foot in, it looks like it's stuck in the millimeter.